Okay, the Rays stadium stuff.
Stadium saga.
Stadium saga
Good news, I think.
continues. We're still doing this shit. We've talked about this for too fucking long at this point. It's so
More than half a decade,
it's
Alex.
so it's so
It's like
excruciating.
the Mr. Krabs meme where he's like ringing the bell and it's just like stadium series or stadium news
The
like
stadium.
over
Oh,
and
Day
over again. Yeah.
3017.
Yeah.
yeah, it's oh yeah, day 15.
Of talking about day 1900 of talking about the Rays Stadium.
It's so ungodly frustrating at this point. But the Rays announced their tentative plan in terms of funding for the stadium and what they're going to request to not only the city of Tampa but also to Hillsborough County. I believe it was $250 million they're going to be asking from the city of Tampa, $750 million the uh, from the county of Hillsborough, which I'm sure no one has said like that. Which, again, if you're comparing it to the stadium that they were trying to build that was supposed to start construction in 2024, that is more just as $150 million more just in what they're asking from Hillsborough County than what they asked all like in their entire public ask for the stadium in St. Pete. Um, I don't know, and we can talk about this. I don't know if they needed to build a stadium that was $2.3 billion dollars. I also don't know if they were able to build one that was cheaper. Like, I don't know if this was like the lowest cost option or what it was. But on the surface, I feel like 2.3 billion is a lot. I understand that the Rays are planning on trying to foot more than half of the bill. They also want to try to get everything basically signed and done by June 1st so that they can hit that 2029 opening day deadline, of which they've talked about so many times, starting out with their introductory press conference in October of last year. Now, several months later in April of 26. That is still their goal, is to hit that 2029 opening day deadline. They has a lot of money that they're asking for. They're also trying to garner up a lot of public support. Um, I see both sides of the coin. I'm also like, is like 2.3 billion is a lot. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't
Yeah, I
know if
mean,
that was the cheapest option.
I'm gonna let Gibby talk about this because this doesn't really affect me. Like, I mean, I'm not a Tampa resident. I'm not a Florida resident. I wouldn't get affected by this in terms of the taxing and the money. So I don't really have a whole lot to say, but it seems like a decent breakdown. Like, I mean, Rays are paying over half. I think that's more than normal. I
Mhm.
think, or and more than fair. You're right. I don't know if it needs to be 2.3 billion, but I think the Rays are making sure that they're doing their part and they're not putting too much on the public. But once again, I'm not paying. I am not paying for it. So, Gibby, you can talk
Yeah.
more about what your thoughts are.
No, I mean, you're kind of right on the head. I mean, it is, and Alex was too. I mean, it is kind of like a double-headed coin, where it's like there's obvious benefits here. The rebuilding of the school, of Hillsborough College now, not HCC anymore. Um, so the rebuild of Hillsborough College on Dale Mabry would be, I mean, huge, uh, just for the community in general. I do like that they're giving this, they're not doing this 50-50. I mean, it's close, but it's like 56% raise and then like 44% public funds. Um, I mean, and then you got a problem is that in Florida, specifically in Miami, there were significant cost overruns with that stadium. Now, I haven't seen the language in this contract that, stipulates what cost overruns, who that goes to,
The
who pays for that.
sorry to interrupt. I can comment on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The article by WFLA says that the Rays are committing 1.235 billion plus cost overrun. So it looks like the
Okay.
Rays would be responsible for that.
So I feel like that is really good. Um, so I mean, it seems like a pretty equitable deal. It was just, it comes down to how Hillsboroughans feel and Tampans feel. about this uh, whole thing. I mean, obviously, in my selfish nature, yeah, I want my baseball team to stay, obviously, and
And you also want it like 10 minutes away from you.
yeah, but obviously, people have raised points about, where these public funds might come from, what, sort of tax, you know, uh, I don't know what they call them, what sort of taxes and all that this comes from. So, I mean, it's going to be a big debate, but I think they're taking the right steps so far to make it happen. Uh, so yeah, I mean, can't really say much more, but I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm not gonna be like one of those, there's a lot of people right now that are gonna be like, yeah, we gotta push this through right away. I feel like, it's gonna take time, for the public to really, and if you try to cram it down the public's throat, it's gonna get rejected. So, it takes time. I feel like they are taking the time. I feel like, the May kind of, you know, first initial deadline for like whatever plans and stuff is okay and like all that stuff. Obviously, you want to get it built fast, so there's that too. You're kind of racing against the clock as this gets more expensive. I mean, we already saw it's gotten more expensive in like 2 years,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a delicate balance. But I think this ownership group the is much better negotiators and much better, soft. They have much better soft person skills. That's what I call it in like customer service and whatever. Soft people skills. You gotta tell people something they might not like, but in a better way. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
I will do what I can to contribute more to this. So just based on what I'm seeing again, it was that $1 billion investment split 25% between the city, 75% between the county. Uh, The public funding would largely come from revenue bonds backed by tourist development taxes, TDT, community investment taxes, CIT, which was kind of the main thing, and Drew Park tax increment redevelopment funds, CRA. This is from Fox 13 in Tampa, not taxpayer dollars. The proportions of these sources has not been detailed. Another thing, the actual lease itself will be a 35-year lease with options to extend it 5 times 3 years per each one of those times. Going to a Tampa Bay Times article, the Tampa Bay Times, I'm trying to see, I believe, uh, what was it? It probed 530 respondents out of more than 806,600 registered voters in Hillsborough County as of February between March 26th and March 29th. This was just a survey that they did. 60% of the polls respondents said they support a raised ballpark across from Raymond James and that they believe that the project would drive economic impact. It also says that the I guess from what the Tampa Bay Times has reported, the financing proposal is built around $467 million from the county's slice of the 0.5% sales tax. This tax pays for roads, public buildings, so basically
so it is
public
tax.
infrastructure tax. Um, According to the survey, 64% of respondents said they opposed using the 467 million of the half cent sales tax dollars to build a stadium, with 31% in support. 59% said they don't think any of that should go towards the project, with 34% saying that they would support any of that money going towards it. So I know that I guess it's a similar vibe to what happened, though more money of what happened in St. Pete, where the Rays were going to be relying on tourist tax bed dollars. I guess not as much in this case, but still there was the tourist tax bed dollars that they were trying to use, not coming out of the public taxpayers, just essentially money coming in from the area from, tourism, from people staying at hotels, people eating in different places, going to experience different things in the area. They're trying to utilize that as much as they can so that they don't have to go into the actual public taxpayer, pool in order to force people to pay more money for it. Um, I think that the survey is interesting. It's also only 500 people. So, I mean, how accurate is that compared to the, as they mentioned, 800,000 people that are actually in the city? How much of that is actually proportionate? Um, there again, there's a lot of when you're dealing with public taxpayer money in any sort of way, whether it be like this or whether it be actual like forcing the residents of the county and the city to pay more money in their taxes in order to support something like this. There's always going to be issues. I've seen plenty of dis or um, I've seen plenty of conversation back and forth about the whole thing about some people saying that you got to spend money to make money. I completely get that. With any business, you have to put in money ahead of time in order for you to try to get some sort of an investment and profit. But at the same time, if there's more important things happening in, let's say, a city that you want to put money towards, I also understand that part of it of like, why would you put it towards a stadium instead of putting it towards trying to improve infrastructure in the city? I know that in St. Pete, some of those funds could not go towards anything else but specifically like building a stadium. Those were kind of like the tourism dollars that they used were specific to like, oh, if you want to go build a stadium, this money is to be used for that and nothing else. I don't know how much of it is going to be that specifically, but I do think it's interesting that they're asking for as much as they are. I'm still wondering how the hell they got to 2.3 billion. Like that's just a lot of money. I don't know how you go from building a stadium with a 1.3 billion dollar price tag in St. Pete to one in Tampa that's 2.3. I don't know how much more profitable the land is in Tampa compared to that. Like I just don't know what makes it so much more expensive. But like that on the surface, I'm like, I don't know how you went up that much money. I understand that, you know, inflation is a thing, but like $1 billion in 2 years seems like a lot, unless it's like so much more grandiose and so much more um into. I just don't like
Yeah.
it's that's so much money.
And yeah, that's another thing. I mean, the initial renderings they're fine, but
Yeah,
they have some flaws. I doubt the stadium is gonna. I mean, it'll look maybe something like that, but
yeah.
it won't look basically anything like the first rendering. So, I mean, I guess a lot of things are just like still up in the air about this thing. And I mean, you're right. I mean, it's $2.3 billion, and the land is basically being given to them, through uh, you know, the the Florida government and all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm just curious about. I'm gonna keep watching how this turns out. But yeah, I am. We're always monitoring both sides.
Yes.
Of this. So.